Hello, this is Patrick at OneCNC West, and what we're going to do in this video is continue to take a look at the powerful CAD system called Solid Design provided by OneCNC. Now in this video what we're going to do is we're going to demonstrate how we can easily create surfaces. We'll also demonstrate how we can combine surfaces with a solid model using hybrid modeling. Okay, so let's get started. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to hit the space bar and select top view. I'm going to pan over just a little bit. First of all, I just want to create a solid model really fast. So all I'm doing here is I'm just grid point snapping. I'm not paying attention to coordinates. I'm just creating a closed boundary, and then I'll use our extrude tools just to give us a shape here that we can start with. I'm going to say that looks good. I'll probably put a couple of fillets in here also. So let's over here to our fillet tool, standard fillet. Let's use a 1/2 inch for that. We'll click OK. And all I'm going to do is just select both those edges and right hand mouse click. I don't need that blue geometry anymore, so I'm going to select by color and just hit the delete key on the keyboard. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to create some surfaces that are attached or placed right next to this face, and then I'm going to demonstrate how we can easily combine the surfaces together. So first of all, I'm going to create a construction plane, and I'm going to place the plane coplanar to that face there. Now if you want to see the construction plane within your construction plane tools, just select this option called display active plane, and you can see it. Blue on one side represents Z positive and the red represents Z negative. So that's a very nice attributes of all the construction planes within OneCNC. If you hit the space bar to select a view, you can select this option called plane, and your view will rotate so that it's normal to the current construction plane. Alright, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a arc through 3 points. And I'm just actually going to come up here and drag, and maybe something about like that. We'll say that looks good. In fact, I'm going to take that and I'm going to move it down just a little bit. I'm going to put it right about there. Now the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to extract some edges. Let's go to our extract an edge tool. And I'm just going to left click that edge, and that edge, and then right hand mouse click. Let's go to trimming now. I'm going to use trim 2, and that's going to allow us to trim our wireframe. That looks good. Now of course you can use coordinate input for this, but I just free digitized that arc through 3 points and I extracted those edges. Now what I'm going to do now is I'm going to select this edge right here, and let's make a copy of that. Let's use our move copy command, and I'm going to copy that. I'm going to go with -2 inches in Y, so -2. In fact, let's go a little farther. How about -3 inches? That looks good. We'll click OK to that. Now we no longer need to look at our construction plane, so I'm going to turn that off. That's just the display I turned off there. And we don't need to look at our solid model, so I'm going to select that. And if I hit the letter B on the keyboard, that's just like hitting that option there, and that will temporarily hide the selected geometry. Okay, so now let's take a look at creating some surfaces. Let's head over here to our surface tools, and there's lots of different surface types you can create within OneCNC. I'm going to start with this one here called surface from curves. We'll just left hand mouse click and then right click, and you can see that easily creates a surface from a closed boundary. We can also use this option called, let's go with how about cross sectional. With cross sections you can digitize several cross sections, and in this example I'm just selecting 2, but you can see that that easily goes in there and creates that surface between those 2 cross sections. But again, you can select as many cross sections as you'd like. I'm going to say that looks good for that. All right, so now we have 3 surfaces created. Let's create these surfaces here on the edge. Now if you want to, you could extract an edge here and create a point and create a surface from that edge to the point, or you can extract some edges from the surface and use those. Why don't we do that? Let's head over here and let's use our extract an edge, and all I'm doing is I'm just left hand mouse clicking on the edges that I want, and what that does is that creates extra geometry for us. Now we can use that wireframe geometry to create our surfaces. So again, I'll use the cross section tool. I'm just left click the arrow, and then right hand mouse click, and that creates the cross sectional surface. Another thing to point out about cross-section surfaces is that your cross-sections don't have to be made up of one entity. They could be made up of several entities, lines and arcs, and again, you can have as many cross-sections as you'd like. Okay, so this is actually 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is 5 individual surfaces. Now, if you wanted to, you could definitely take this into OneCNC CAD CAM system and you could apply toolpath to this. In fact, if we bring our original solid model back, that's really all you need, and you can definitely machine that. But what I want to show you now is, if you'd like, you can combine these surfaces, or excuse me, you can combine the solids together if you want to. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to temporarily hide that again. And remember, these are individual surfaces. I'm going to select all these surfaces just by hitting the Control A, Control Alpha on the keyboard. That's just a standard Windows command for selecting everything. Then if we head over here and go into our hybrid tools, I'm going to use Union. And what that's going to do is that's going to create one solid model out of that. Now, to demonstrate that that's a solid model, you could use your cross-section tool. And as I move this slider to the right, you're going to see now that that indeed is a solid, and it's no longer 5 individual surfaces. That's very nice. So let's bring back our original solid model there. And if we want to now, we can grab both those solid models, and then going into our hybrid tools, again, we're going to use Union, and now we have one solid model here. Again, if we want to, we can select our wireframe geometry. By color, I'm going to select all the blue geometry, hit the delete key on the keyboard, and there we go. We have one solid model here now. To demonstrate this further, if you'd like, you can create a fillet on this. Let's head over here to our fillet tools. We'll go to fillet, and why don't we use a 125 fillet on that. We'll click OK, grab that edge and right hand mouse click, and there you go. So there was a quick example in regards to creating individual surfaces, and then we demonstrated how we could combine those surfaces together to create a solid model, and then we demonstrated how we could take both solid models and combine them together into one solid. Now, there's lots of other powerful commands within the model operations. We tend to call this hybrid modeling because you can use it both with solids and surfaces. What I'd like to demonstrate next is the difference tool. Now, the difference tool provides the ability to subtract one solid model from another solid model. So the first thing I'm going to do is just quickly sketch a closed boundary. And of course you can use coordinate input, but I'm just using grid point snap just to quickly create a closed shape. What we're going to do now is use the extrude tool. I'm going to extrude that up. In fact, let's make this extrusion a little bit more interesting. I'm going to undo that, just hitting Control Z on the keyboard. And let's add a taper angle of, how about -12? That looks good. So again, we're going to grab that closed shape. I'm just going to drag that up, and we're going to say that looks good. So let's select that, and we're going to incrementally move that. Why don't I move it 200? Let's go a little bit more than that. How about -400 thousandths on that? So I'm going to click OK, and I'm going to say that looks great. So what I'm going to do is subtract that tapered solid from that original solid model. So we're going to go back into our model tools. I'll use difference. First thing we'll do is we're going to select the target. So I'm going to grab that shape first with a left click, and now I'm going to left click that, and you can see that easily subtracts that solid from there. So again, lots of powerful tools within the model operations. We call that hybrid modeling, and that's available with the Solid Design provided by OneCNC. All right, hey, thank you so much for watching, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.